I've bought this little kit to try and fix this. Welcome back to the shed. This thing here is my left Joy-Con from my Nintendo Switch. It's actually in pristine condition. It's perfect. I always wash my hands before playing, and most of the time when I play on my Switch I use my Pro Controller, but for some reason the little joystick has started to drift, and no matter how many calibrations I do, no matter how much I try and clean it, it still does the same thing. You're sitting and playing and it'll just gradually drift up or scroll up in menus and it drives you mad. So I looked into it. You can apply to Nintendo to get them repaired, and I've heard mixed reports back from people who've sent it off and they've come back with the screws stripped, or they've said it's water damage or something else. So I wasn't really sure about doing that, and then I looked into repairing it myself. All of the guides I found basically suggested that it was really difficult and you shouldn't attempt it. So of course I had to have a go. I've bought this kit from Amazon. It's got everything in there that will help me not only fix this one, but if it goes well, I'll be able to have a go at doing another. It doesn't work anyway, so I haven't got too much to lose, but hopefully we can get it sorted and then we'll be able to play on the Switch with those controls again. Everything in this kit allows me to take out the existing joystick and put a new one in. What we'll do is, first of all, we'll look at what's actually in here. We'll work out what everything in there is for, and then we'll have a go at doing the replacement and see how it goes. So let's start by taking a look at what's inside this kit. It cost me £10 from Amazon. Actually, on the guide on there with the information about it, it said it only had 3 screwdrivers, and when it came, it's actually got more than that in there. So let's see what I've got for my money. So this is for replacing 2 Joy-Cons. So it comes with 2 little joysticks inside there. They're the little thumbsticks, like this one. And also these cool little screwdrivers. The quality of these actually feels pretty good. I mean, the real benchmark of the quality is in the tips of the screwdrivers, so we'll have to see how that goes. But in terms of the build of these, it's got like the little swivel end. It's got little grips here. I think they should be pretty good. If these work out well, I think I'll make a little stand for them and use them for lots of different projects. So it's got a 00 tri-wing screwdriver, and there's also a 2.5 tri-wing and a 2.0 tri-wing. So a nice selection of tri-wing screwdrivers. Also a 2.0 Phillips and a 1.5 Phillips. That's not bad. I mean, considering I paid £10 for this whole kit and it's come with these 2 joysticks, to get all those screwdrivers is pretty good. There's a little bag here with lots of the spare screws, which will be useful if we end up stripping any of the screws in the case. Not that that's going to happen, but we shall see. A little sucker, so maybe there's some awkward things to remove or separate in there. A little brush, which again, once I've finished this job, should come in quite handy. Nice pair of tweezers. The usual kind of mobile phone prizing opening tools. These little thumbstick covers, so what they'll do is just hook over the top and change the look of it. So that should be quite a nice little finishing touch as well. So all in all, quite a cool little kit, this one. So we'll look next at how to open this up. Check which of the screwdrivers is going to be best suited to that. So looking at the back of here, it's definitely for one of the tri-wing screwdrivers, so I'll have to be very careful which one I use to open it. From the reports I'd heard and about people saying how difficult it was stripping these screws that was the issue. People have said that Nintendo have deliberately used quite a soft metal on those so that people do strip the screw head and don't end up being able to open it up, because that's not what they want people to do. So if people don't want me to do things like that, it just kind of makes it all the more tempting. So let's get going. Right, I've got a guide on the iFixit website just to guide me through it. If that proves to be useful, I will link to it in the description. So introduction, tools needed: spudger, tweezers, 1 opening pick, a tri-wing Y00 screwdriver and a Phillips 00 screwdriver. So we've got neither. We haven't got the 00 Phillips, but I'll be able to find one of those. Now it says the Y00 screwdriver. Now I'm going to just keep that to one side. I'll use it to guide me through the process, but I'll talk through what I'm doing as I go. I've also dug out a spudger because although these can be quite useful. I use these all the time. These little tools are so handy, so that is going to be by my side. Also, it came with these quite nice quality tweezers, but these are the ones I tend to use all the time. These are the ones I'm used to, so I'm keeping those handy as well. So it's a bit of a Goldilocks on the 3 bears situation, although it recommends the 00. When that goes in, there's a little bit of wobble when it's in the screw, and if you've got that little bit of movement, chances are it can slip and end up stripping the head on the screw. Similarly, when I get onto the 2.5 and try and put that in, it seems to line up, but it won't quite go in, it won't quite lock in place. Again, that's likely to strip it. So we'll go to the just right option, which is the 2.0. When that goes in, it fits really neatly. So what I'm going to do is hold it securely and push really hard with the screwdriver in there, and just slightly turn it clockwise, and then undo that. Comes out without a problem. Now what the clockwise turn tends to do is, if you're undoing screws, I mean, this is a habit I've got from working with things like Game Boys and older consoles, because if the screw's been in there a long time and you just suddenly unscrew it, there's a point where it's stuck, and as it suddenly pulls apart, it can crack the screw post inside by all the pressure. So if you turn it clockwise, it just slightly dislodges it from where it's locked in place, but doesn't pull out on the screw post, so it doesn't put any excess force. So if you screw in very slightly first until you feel a little pop, and then undo, that tends to work well. On this, I've got to say, because it's fairly new hardware, it doesn't probably need it, but definitely on the old Game Boys and things, it's a really useful tip. But these are coming out fine. So it said on the guide to use the 00, but this that I've just used, I had a lot of success with the 2.0, so no problem with using a slightly bigger driver on that. So the screws are all out, but still it kind of holds together, so it's clipped together. So this is where my little pick comes in. These are all pretty much the same thickness all the way around. So this goes that way up, and I'm trying to just ease in there, and that just separated them really easily there. So I'll just work that around, and there's a point where it kind of holds there. Pops open there. As soon as that point pops, the rest of it should come apart quite easily. Seems it's held up here. Don't want to force it too much. Definitely with these sort of things, don't want to twist and pull and pop too much in case there's anything inside that's going to A, hold it in place, or B, break. Now as that's coming apart, I am feeling there's something holding it together, so that, yeah, there's a little bit of a ribbon on each side holding it together. So let's just lay those down. Alright, so first job is our battery connector here. I've got my spudger with a very thin flat end on there that I should be able to get. Just carefully lift and let that hang from the ribbons without putting too much strain on. Carefully get this in under where the connector is. Just see if I can lever that up. There we go. So that's just popped out there. Can I get that in this side? Don't want to damage it. And that's got under it. Oh, I can feel something going. I definitely don't want to damage this battery. Yeah, it feels like it's stuck in. Like this, there is some, yeah, there's some adhesive holding that in place, some sticky pads. So when it feels like it's not going, I wasn't sure if I was going to break any clips, but that's all it was. And I removed the connector, so now I can take my battery and move that to one side. Just remember which way up it was that way around, so I'll keep it that way up for now. Right, so I've got some screws to remove. 1, 2, 3. Now these are slightly different colours, you probably can't see here, but it's golden ones. I've got 1, 2 and 3. Now again, my guide says that they are the 3.5mm ones, and now I've got a 1.5 and a 2. So first of all, let's just see how that fits. It's a little bit loose, disappointingly, but it is taking them out no problem. And it lifts the screws with it, which is quite handy. So just the gold ones. And they are not really giving me much resistance at all. So I have to remember when I put those back in to be very, very gentle when I'm tightening and not to over tighten. Now comes the time to remove this. But apparently there's still a ribbon cable here. You can just about make it out there. So if I turn it around, the little ribbon cable here, which seems to hinge at that point, so I should be able to lift that out. Now there's something just holding it. There we go. Lifts up and flips over. So there's this tiny, tiny little ribbon cable, which I assume is what I'm going to remove next. So we'll see how we go with the tweezers on that one. Just move the trigger and the spring from that up and out of the way. And we've got this here, which I assume lifts up. Might be better with the spudger on that. There we go. That just lifts, and then hopefully the ribbon cable will remove fairly easily. There we go. Just got to be really careful with it. So let's just carefully get in there and flip that one up. And see if we can get to the ribbon. Bizarrely, that ribbon has already got a bit of a crease in it, so I'll need to be really careful of it. There we go. Honestly, these tools are so cheap and so useful. Like, just if you're getting into modding, just buy a bag of spudgers. They're so handy. Right, so that's flipped up, and see if we can get in there. Actually, these, I was going to be using these because these are my standard go-to ones, but with these being on an angle, rather than sort of pointing downwards, which is what I was thinking for picking up, they're quite good that way round, because you can get in flat here, but you're out of the way of all these bits, so that's actually quite useful. There we go, that's that one removed as well. So I've got two Phillips screws here. Let's see. Now the 1.5 is too loose on them. Going with the 2. I mean, it all depends on how accurate the markings are on these screws. So you got to take that with a pinch of salt. So there's that one, and then there's another one that's a bit more awkward to get to. Just be very, very careful of the ribbon, I suppose. This is rocking all over the place because I'm resting on the stick itself, so I'll move it around so I'm more resting on this corner of the Joy-Con. Take that out. And does this mean I can now remove the actual joystick? So this is my offending stick. Well, I assumed it would just lift out, but I'll be very careful it's not still connected to anything. And also this ribbon that keeps getting in the way, I really do not want to damage that. try pushing it from the other side, it'll probably give me a bit more control. There we go. That just feeds through there. So there's our stick, and I'm assuming all we're doing now is putting a new one in. Okay, so I'll work my way back. Let's take out this one. Now I get the feeling going back in. Now that's clearly different to the original. It's got a slightly different look to the ribbon. And the assembly where you've got the exposed metal parts here. But to be honest, in standard Joe fashion, I'm rambling on, and it seems to have stopped recording at some point. I don't know where that was. So what I've done, put the new joystick in, put the 2 screws back in, put that ribbon in place, which was being a little bit awkward. I'm not sure that one's located, so if it doesn't work afterwards, that's going to be my first port of call. This ribbon from the shoulder button section comes down here, that's in place, and I'm about to put the one from the other half, the other plastic bit there. So I've got to lift that carefully. Try and very carefully not to break it. And then that is going to sit in here, so this ribbon goes in that way round. There we go, it's in, and then I'll carefully fold that back down, and this can flip over. Hopefully it's all going to go back together fairly easily. I do not want to pinch that ribbon though, because that would be bad. So I'll line up at the edge, that all seems okay, that's going in place there. And checking on my ribbon cable, that seems fine. So now we're back to our gold screws. So the screws on the inside were there, and now I've got 3 more to go in. One here. Again, I'll unscrew till I feel that little pop. That doesn't seem to be lining up correctly. Try this one. There we go. Just till you feel that little bump, and then it'll screw in fine. Next screw. Make sure we are lined up. Get that one in. Make sure that one's fastened okay. Again, as I said when I was taking it apart, not tight, but just till it stops turning. And one more, slightly bigger head on this one maybe. I don't know, maybe I'm imagining things. So that one went here. That's in place. Now I can carefully, oh, nearly put it back together without the battery. Well done, Joe. Right, so our battery has that tiny little connector, and probably easier if I put that in there first. Now that just dropped back in dead easy because I wasn't working against the adhesive this time. I get the feeling this is going to be quite tricky to get back in, partly because this is in the way, and partly because there's the vibration motor to contend with. So if I just tease that around and under there again, I think I'll use, I'm quite liking these new tweezers actually. Just got to work around that vibration motor bit. As long as I can get that underneath it, I'll be alright. And then just bring that around, and it was the spudger that lifted it off. So I'm assuming the spudger will help with just putting it back on. So I've got to line up. Once I'm lined up, I should be able to just push that from the top. And push it back into place. There we go. So when you're doing that, wait till you feel a little click. The wires are all okay, nothing tangled up, nothing pressured. Bring this bit over and should be able to just line it up. Get this bit slotted in place, which I'll probably end up replacing at some point when that gives up. You can get metal replacement bits to clip in. And the bit where it clicked was somewhere around here, so there we go. That's just gone all back together. And there's our new stick. Looking pretty good, feeling pretty tight, but not too tight, not problematic. Time to put 1, 2, 3, 4 little screws back in, and that was with my 2.0 Y-wing or tri-wing or whatever you want to call it. So, got my Y-wing ready there, and same technique. Anti-clockwise till I feel a pop, and then clockwise to put it in. I'm not going to put that all the way in yet. I'll do one screw at a time, as you would usually do. Start with opposite corners just to get that balance pressure out. Anti-clockwise till you feel a little pop, and then clockwise the rest of the way. Almost done. Now if this actually works, then it wasn't actually that bad. I think it's probably worse to have a go at replacing the whole shell. I think just getting to the joystick wasn't too bad, but maybe replacing the whole shell would be a nightmare. That's a job for another day. I quite like this is like I do with the Nintendo DS Lites when I'm building the Neon Advance consoles. I prefer using the original Nintendo parts. When you buy third-party stuff, no matter how good quality it is, it's never quite as neat a fit as the original parts. So unless these original Joy-Cons actually end up cracking or breaking or getting scratched and look terrible, I'm going to keep them as they are. Plus, I really like the blue and red. I think it looks kind of cool. It's always the dilemma you face when you're buying a new console from Nintendo. You know, you get the new PlayStation or you get the new Xbox, you just buy the new PlayStation or buy the new Xbox, but Nintendo brings something new out and it's like, well, you can have it in this colour or that colour, and you're like, oh, but they all look so good. So I could have gone with the grey, which when I see people playing on does look kind of cool, but I think the red and the blue is iconic. There we go. So not over tightening any of those, just making sure that they're all in. And there we go. So that is our new one, that is our old one. We could even, now where are they? So we've got blue cover, which clashes horribly, or the little red one, which, let's see how that looks. Kind of cool, I suppose, if you like that sort of thing. But for now, I'll just keep it as is and try it out. So that's our next step. Now I've got to say, considering that I got 2 of these sticks and it came with these 5 really nice quality screwdrivers, definitely going to make a little stand for those and use them in loads of other projects. Plus these tweezers are quite nice, heavy duty ergonomic metal tweezers that are anti-static, and they pinch together really neatly at the end. They were fabulous for doing the ribbons. Plus your standard mobile phone opening stuff. Spare screws, this little brush, which is brilliant for kind of getting dust off or out of gaps and things, that's going to be a really useful tool to have. So thinking about cutting my losses, I mean, even the little plastic tub that it came with is probably going to be useful. So if this ends up being a waste of time, at least for my money, I mean £10 delivered from Amazon got me quite a lot of cool little tools. So far I'm quite happy with what I've got, and I haven't even tested it yet. Right, moment of truth. So here's my controller, slot it into my switch. Continue. And we've got to go to settings. Not sleep mode, Joe. Seems like you need sleep mode. Now is it system settings or Joy-Cons? Let's have a look in controllers. And oh, that seems to work absolutely fine. I've not even done anything with it yet. Not checked or calibrated. Now apparently I do need to calibrate it once I've replaced it. That doesn't seem to be any of the options there. So we will go to System Settings, go Controllers and Sensors, and Update Controllers, Calibrate Control Sticks. So open that one, press the control stick you wish to calibrate, and check the following. So the circle colour changes when the control stick is rotated out of its area. See, that doesn't quite centre there. So X to recalibrate if the control stick is not working as expected. Please only recalibrate if there is something wrong. Okay, so calibrate. Push the control stick towards the arrow, release the arrow once it changes colour. Rotate it in a large circle 2 or 3 times. Calibration complete. Right, and now we've got the plus. Should have zoomed in for all this really, but now we've got the plus, and that's all fine. Everything working as it should. Nothing drifting. And we're all fixed for like £10. And I've got a spare in case this one goes, and if our new cheap one goes, I know what I'm doing for the next one. That was not actually too bad. Right, so we're all done, all calibrated, everything working fine. I'm off to do some testing with a little bit of Animal Crossing. That was a lot easier than I expected. I'd read ahead that it was really difficult, so I was very, very, very careful of all the screws and all the ribbons as I was going. But really, if you take your time, and you're very careful with the stuff, and if you buy a kit like I did that comes with all the tools that you need, yeah, that wasn't too bad. If you're thinking about giving it a go, if yours isn't working and you bodge it, you'll have a controller that isn't working, so you've not really lost anything. But if, like me, you've got the kit and you want to give it a try, you start with a controller that's not, and now I've got one that I can play with, so I'm happy with that. You know, it might not just have been that part, it could have been something else, so it's quite a relief to know it was the original stick that had gone bad, and I've just replaced that part and it all works. So, thanks for watching.